Hi guys, this is Brittany from Canadian Beats, and I have Ryan and Ken from Phantom Atlantic on the phone with me. How are you guys?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Sick of the cold weather, ready for summer.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. I just broke the winter coat out for the first time. I'm not too happy about it.
Oh, I haven't done it yet. I'm still wearing a fall coat.
There's nothing to be afraid of. Winter's wonderful. Come on, guys.
Well, I feel like this is a 2-against-1 kind of situation here.
Yeah, I firmly agree. Fine, I can take it.
Yeah. So just to jump right in, you guys just had your album release party at radio on Friday, and it was an absolutely buzzing atmosphere. I know I had a great time. I had brought a couple friends with me, and they loved it. So what was the most amazing part of the night for you guys?
Oh, that's a very good question. First of all, I'm glad to hear that you had a fun time. That's always really good to hear. We definitely did as well. Yeah, it was really exciting for us to be releasing a single, and I think, this was probably our biggest headlining show ever, so that was really great. And we were working with a production company for the first time called A Minor, and a guy named Japeth from A Minor was kind of helping us out with that show for the first time, so it was kind of like a lot of firsts. And it ended up, being an amazing turnout. The other bands that we played with were really, really wonderful. And so just to see that level of support that we were kind of getting from the community was really amazing. Yeah, I think just to add to that, sort of I'd say sort of two key highlight moments for us were, when we started playing shows, I guess maybe a year and a half ago, a little bit more ago in Toronto, we started in smaller venues and we sort of worked our way up to, we started at a small place called the Piston on a Tuesday night indie night, which we love dearly, but is much smaller than where we were the other night. And we worked our way up to the Rivoli, and until last Friday, the Rivoli was sort of our biggest headline show. So when we were talking with Japeth and meeting with him, and we kind of settled on Adelaide Hall, I know that there was a little bit of, there was a lot of excitement because we loved that room. And sorry, it's called Radio now, not Adelaide Hall anymore. It's showing my age. But there was a lot of excitement with the band, but there was also a bit of apprehension because we were like, this is a room that's double the size and it's much bigger. And luckily, Japeth believed in us and said, I know you guys can do this. And so thank you, Japeth, if you're listening. Big vote of confidence on your end. But so walking on the stage and looking out at the room and seeing what felt, at least from the stage, like a much more full room than we were expecting, and just hearing the crowd, I'd have to say that is the moment from the entire night that sticks with me the most. Just having that sigh of relief where it's like, okay, we did it. People are here to see us, and then you can sort of just like let the mood take over and let the set take you where it will. The second thing I would say was a highlight. The show, as you mentioned, was a single release show for our single we just dropped last Friday as well, called Beneath Your Moment. But at the same time, we realized how close it was to the holiday season. So we decided there's no way we can have a show this close to Christmas and the holidays without making it sort of a Christmas show. So we got a tree up on the stage, and we went and got our picture taken with Santa and gave out Christmas cards. And at the end of the show, we decided to close with a special cover of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, which is totally out of step with our other music, but I love that song. And we decided to invite all the other bands back on stage to join it for us. So I think that was just a really nice way to cap off what was a huge night for us and just kind of create the party vibe that we wanted it to have, celebrate music with two other bands, Man Crush and The Human Drive, who are both fantastic, and just sort of have everyone leave the venue on a really upbeat, positive note.
Yeah, for sure. So you actually kind of segued into my next question. So you guys played the All I Want for Christmas Is You. So you had said that you really liked the song, but was there any other reason for playing that song specifically and not, say, like Last Christmas?
It's a funny story. Actually, I was at a friend's place for dinner about, I guess it was probably only like 2 weeks or a week before the show. Like, we hadn't actually been planning on necessarily doing that cover until about a week before the show. And so she kind of jokingly said, I'm sorry I can't make your show next week. She's like, but maybe maybe I would change my mind if you played, I don't know, like Mariah Carey's last, All I Want for Christmas Is You or something. And so at the time it was just kind of a joke. And I think I kind of mentioned that when we came up. We were kind of like discussed the idea of maybe we should do a Christmas song. And I kind of mentioned that story kind of in our jam room. And I think I expected resistance because it was just kind of like the first thing that came up. But immediately everyone was kind of like, yes, let's do that song specifically. And so it kind of, I think, manifested from there.
Here's the other thing about that song, too, in my mind, is that there's sort of a couple different sets of Christmas songs that you can pull from. The first set of Christmas songs you can pull from are sort of the classics. We Wish You a Merry Christmas, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. There's something about those songs that, I'm a huge Christmas junkie. It's embarrassing. But there's something about those songs that maybe felt a little too traditional for us. Then you mentioned something like Last Christmas, which is another amazing song, but the single release we were doing, the single we're dropping is like a little melancholy already, and something like Last Christmas feels maybe a little more melancholy, and so we wanted a song that felt somewhat modern, that everybody would guarantee to know, and that we could turn into sort of a rock song that would get the entire room dancing. And that song is so upbeat. It has the perfect amount of cheese, but also amazing songwriting. And it has these jazz chords that you can turn into something that makes it feel more modern in influence. But you can also do a rock version that really has a driving energy that gets everyone moving. So
that's awesome. So a little fun tidbit about that song actually is Mariah Carey will not let anybody else record it.
Ooh.
Yep.
I didn't know that. That is better. We better lawyer up after doing that.
Yeah.
Just be careful. You might get a lawsuit if you post a video of that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I did not know that actually. Really.
Yeah. So like people can cover it at their concerts or like karaoke it, but she won't let anybody else actually record the song.
Okay, so we're in the clear, which is good. But that's
the most important part.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess it's just so synonymous there now, right? Like it's that every time I think Mariah Carey, like that is the song I think of, for better or worse. Sorry, Mariah Carey, but that's the song.
Yeah, and I think that's just like it's her biggest moneymaker even now.
Yeah.
So we had talked about how on Friday night it was your single release party for Beneath Your Moment. So tell me a little bit more about the creative process behind this song, because it is different than, say, Lessons.
For sure, yeah. Creatively, we sort of have a mixed bag way of writing songs, where some songs like Lessons will have started with just a guitar riff that we bring into the room and just jam out over and over for a number of sessions before we sort of fall into a song structure. Beneath Your Moment was a little bit different because Kyle, our lead singer, had come in with what felt, for the most part, it was much shorter sort of idea, but for the most part had the various movements of the song already sort of fleshed out. He had a very clear vision and idea of where the song would go. So we sort of creatively, followed him along in that process with that song and added our touches, of course, and worked fairly intensively on the structure and finding things that worked and didn't work and testing new parts. Before going out to London, Ontario, to a studio called EMAC Recording Studios with an amazing producer named Dan Broadbeck, who's worked with people like Ivory Hours, Texas King, even the late Dolores O'Riordan, who was formerly the singer for the Cranberries. So we did this song with him, and it turned out amazing. But like as you noted, there's a difference between sort of the upbeat energy of a song like Lessons, which is very much sort of a poppier rock anthem, and something like this new song, Beneath Your Moment, which is a little more downbeat, a little more moody and melancholic. I think the idea behind that was, first of all, we're a band that we sort of pride ourselves on our soundscapes, kind of covering a massive array as wide as our influences. So we might play at one moment like an upbeat rock song, and then we might play a melancholic downbeat song, and then we might play an acoustic song. So it was really important to us that the first two singles we led with showcased that sort of
range. But at the same time, there was something, when we were zeroing in on what song to pick specifically, there was something really interesting thematically in the relationship between those two. When you sort of look at the lyrics, they're both songs that deal with themes of sort of fear and insecurity and anxiety, but in completely different ways. So on one hand, you have Lessons, which is kind of like an anthem about, finding the strength within yourself to overcome adversity and overcome your insecurities. And then you have something like Beneath Your Moment, which sort of looks at the flip side of that, which is those sort of darker times in which your insecurities might threaten to consume you or take over.
Interesting. It's a great song. I actually really, really love it. I do see the differences between listening to like Lessons and Beneath Your Moment, and I think that both of them capture just who you guys are as a group as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's nice to hear. It's resonating.
Yeah, of course. Ryan, so I know you and I had talked a little bit about how you guys are actually entirely independent. So what are some of the challenges that you faced more so in 2018?
It's a big question. Ken, do you want to tackle this from the start?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like two sides to being independent, because you kind of have to be in the trenches every day yourselves. And so we've found that, there's four of us in the band, and we really come to depend on each other to be able to make this happen. So you end up, really functioning as a team to see this dream through. And so it becomes this really intense collaboration amongst the band members, which I think is kind of a really good thing. It's kind of like allowed us to really understand every facet of the music industry as we're going along. So, for instance, everything from the very first EP we put out, two members of the band happened to have recording engineering training. So we ended up writing and recording that EP and producing it and everything all on our own. And then same with recently, we actually, for Beneath Your Moment, just finished shooting a music video. And then once again, two members of the band happened to have experience in the film industry, and so we were able to actually produce and shoot and edit that all on our own as well. And then all the way back to kind of the nitty-gritty day-to-day of being in a band. So, for instance, this summer we had our very first sort of tour, kind of mini tour around Quebec and Ontario. And again, that was completely reliant on band members being able to do all of the coordinating with the different venues and coordinating with other bands in the local markets to be able to set up the shows, and then actually execute on the scheduling. And so that doing all of that on your own is really, really hard and takes a lot of work and dedication. But on the other hand, when you see all of these things sort of come to fruition and know that we've all kind of had each other's backs through the process, it's really, really rewarding when you actually come out the other side on a lot of those.
Yep. Explain more.
just to add quickly to what Ken's saying, I would say we're at sort of and I think we have been at this time in the industry for quite a while now, ever since YouTube came around and Spotify. We're sort of at a time in the industry where, as a musician at our level, sort of starting out in the early stages of our career, you really have to be a jack of all trades with what you're doing, because if you can be doing it for yourself, no one wants to be giving you money to do it. If they know that you can be out there making your own video, and they know that you can be marketing yourself, they realize they don't have to fund that. But B, I think it also serves as a valuable testing ground for labels or agents or representatives, which bands are actually really in it and which bands maybe don't have the same degree of drive. Because it's really the bands that are out there booking their tours and playing the circuit and, writing their songs. And even if you don't have recording experience or anything like that, finding a way to get them out there. It's the bands that are putting in that effort that are going to be, I think, in many ways, the easiest to handle or the easiest to work with for people later in their career, because they have a very clear vision of where they want to go. So as a band sort of right now, part of the challenge, as Ken was mentioning, is really just having to have a handle on every single element of the business. the video making, the touring, the songwriting, the recording. But again, as you alluded to, Ken, and as I was mentioning earlier, with walking out on stage and feeling like, wow, actually people came to see us, the payoff's also that much more in the end when you realize that you kind of, in every step of the way, you've created something from nothing. We've been everything, I shouldn't say everything, but almost everything that we've sort of achieved along the way has been entirely because of, hard work and lost hours of sleep and just loving what we're doing.
No, that's amazing. It's so heartening to hear that, and I'm sure that when other people listen to this, and people who are just starting out in bands are going to realize just how much effort it goes into it, but how rewarding it can be in the end.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, there's also, this feels like the right moment to just give a shout out to some people that I think are like, crazy hard workers who deserve the platform and the spotlight in the new year. There's a band out of Oshawa called Excuses who are amazing and working so hard. There's a band out of Wakefield, Quebec who are, not only some good friends of ours, but also one of my favorite live bands to watch, called Rebel. Some guys who, probably don't need the shout out, but I'm going to give it anyways because I love him. Our Texas King out of London, they're blowing up right now. So yeah, anyways, I just wanted to name a few bands off the top of my head that I think people should be checking out because these guys are all going to do big things.
No, of course. So my final question for you guys of the evening is, what can we expect from you in 2019?
I think, Ken, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was alluding to earlier the fact that we just finished wrapping a music video, so you should definitely expect to see a music video for Beneath Your Moment coming out at some point in the new year. And then also, as I mentioned, we kind of did a lot of touring and playing shows this year, and so we're very eager to write some new music and release some new music. So definitely in the new year, we're going to be writing a lot and hopefully producing some new tunes out of the studio.
Yeah, so basically, I think just really kind of the full gamut that we did this year. We need to finish some new songs. We have some dates to get back in the studio set for February, and then hopefully a few more times in the summer, and then, get them out there and get back on the road touring them. But if anyone, I'm going to do the obligatory plug. If anybody wants to keep track of where we're playing or keep track of the progress on our new tunes, you can find us on Instagram at Fan of Atlantic. You can find us on Facebook, same thing, Fan of Atlantic, and our website, fanofatlantic.com.
For sure. I'm so excited to see everything that's going to come out. I'm excited to see this music video that you guys are talking about. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support.
Yeah, of course. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to jump on the phone with me tonight, though. It was great to know more about you and to talk to you, especially after seeing you guys play on Friday and seeing such an amazing show. So thank you so much.
No, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.